Hey guys, we're back with another North American trucking and supply chain market update for June 2025. So what have we seen? The trucking market remains generally oversupplied with carrier capacity exceeding demand, keeping spot rates relatively competitive. Now, there is some seasonal tightness in the reefer and flatbed markets because of produce and construction activity. 25% tariffs that did take place on Canadian imports has generally stabilized after some initial disruptions, but cross-border flows are still adjusting. Freight demand is steady. However, there is a market rebalance that will probably take place early 2026 as carriers continue to exit the marketplace. Shippers can capitalize right now on favorable rates, but should plan strategically for regional capacity constraints in certain areas. Let's talk about the US domestic trucking market, and firstly, dry van. What have we seen in June 2025? A significant increase, especially in spot rate pricing, driven by areas like California and Texas. Load to truck ratios slightly up, LTL dry van also facing some pressures. Overall, shippers are facing a tougher time in the US domestic marketplace due to some increased pressure in costs and some limited capacity in regionalized areas. Now, we've seen a pretty drastic difference going into the reefer space in comparison to dry van. Roughly, rates are down almost 8% month over month, and that's simply driven to produce season demand in Florida, Georgia, California, easing post Mother's Day. Load to truck ratios also easing, softer demand across the board. I think there's some areas now where shippers don't need to book so far in advance. They can have some stabilized pricing, and you're not facing a lot of these challenges caused by produce season. Now, in the flatbed segment, rates are relatively steady, slightly down 2.6% month over month. Load to truck ratios, although, are very high across the board. There's some certain areas like in the Southeast and the Midwest where, infrastructure projects, hurricane season preparations really drive demand and, limit capacity. Where rejection rates are elevated, shippers should just work with quality partners to ensure that they have their back and ensure that they have capacity moving forward into Q3. So what are some key takeaways for a lot of you shippers focused on the US domestic marketplace? There is a slight uptick and a little bit of a pulse taking place in the dry van and flatbed segments, but I think these are just blips in the radar. There is some softening in the reefer space. All in all, I think you have to work with quality partners. You have to do your best to have fair and honest rates on both sides to ensure that there's some stability in your supply chain moving into Q3.